What up? What up? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Grid and the Grind Show. Tonight's show, we got Matt Evans, and we got to talk to him. It's been a while, a lot to catch up on. Haven't seen him around. He's been like the ghost. He's in and out, but we're gonna get all things Matt Evans. We're gonna talk all things Week 1 United Grid League action. We're gonna talk about the upcoming week here in about 10 days. In Lakeland. So let's not waste any time. Matt, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? How's it going?
I'm good. I guess we've got to start with the elephant in the room. Where the fuck have you been?
Bro.
And don't go on this long diatribe.
I don't like this. I was trying to think of something funny.
Very quickly.
I was thinking something funny. No, so for the last 5 months, I've been at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, doing some Army training. And I wish we could have queued up the Bill Murray Army training, sir. All right. No, I've been at Fort Sill completing my field artillery basic officer leadership course. Getting to shoot some pretty cool stuff. It's fun, but it was an obligation I had to do. So I literally, I was trying to postpone it actually until June this year. And life circumstances last year prevented me from doing that. So I had to go in January, and I got back the week of Grid. And, as a fellow father, you're told, hey, listen, you are on kid duty for the day instead of going down to Miami. And I was like, okay. So,
yep.
But truth be told, I had Grid on the entire day, except for about 20 minutes, which we will touch a base about that in a little bit. The 20 minutes I had.
I can only imagine. It was fun. Well, let's get into it. Obviously, you weren't there, but you got to see the first week of all the teams that have been in the league for a hot minute. Yep. So don't get into specifics on the team, but just from what you saw from the weekend, what's the big takeaways?
I knew you were going to ask this, and I don't have the best of answers. I was stoked that the Palms had a full roster, which Arturo, I'm excited. I think he's supposed to come, maybe not. I don't know. But I was excited talking about that because I think this is the first year in a while the Palms had a full roster, so that was kind of cool. The joke I was saying earlier, I actually was under the impression that they won the match for like 48 hours. I did not know, because that was the one match I didn't get to see the end of until someone's like, dude. I was like, oh, my bad.
It was a 7-point swing in the last 3 races. Yeah. There was a bonus flag that was thrown in sprint relay. There was a rerun that happened. The dominoes had to fall right, and the Bandits, don't want to take anything away from them. They did what they had to do to come back and win.
It was really cool at the end of last year talking with, I guess it was in Dallas at their last match. Talking with a lot of their players that were new, that were hanging around watching, and just, me being me, going up and introducing myself. It was pretty cool to see, like, hey, listen, they were excited about it, right? They were already motivated, which it's very hard to carry off motivation, almost 10 months into the next match, right? Off of the off season. So it was really cool to see the Bandits come back and start off the year with a victory. I think that's awesome, right? So me taking my Breakers hat off and being just involved with Grid for the better part of 6 years, I think that was a really good showing for them. And that's good for the program, right? That's really good for their program and their organization of growing and getting out there and getting a victory. I don't know if that was their first victory or not. I don't remember from last year. I should have looked that up. But it was good for them. So I think they're going to be a tough team to beat. They've got the pieces falling into place. They've got the organization, and they seem to have the motivation, which are, it's good for year 2.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I, just looking at them last year, they got better and better each week. So much to the point where they were in their closest match, the very last match of their season.
Yeah.
But then you see kind of, I don't know, you've been around sport long enough. You can kind of see momentum starting to turn and starting to shift. In that match with the Palms, that's what I continually saw is like little things of momentum that just started shifting. And I think it was a lot of just they stayed motivated throughout the whole match and they didn't give in to the fact that we're down 4, we're down 6, we're down 7. They're figuring out a way and they knew that they had one route and they were like, all right, these are the things that need to happen. Let's go out and make them happen. And fuck if they
Grit
didn't do it.
grit scoring, right? Out of every sport I've ever seen, is is kind of ludicrous, to be honest with you. It's because like you can literally start off the match, and if you talk to Josh Newell, he said something crazy about he said something crazy about like there's a number, like you get to this magic number and you got to by this race or whatever. And I don't know it off the top of my head, but you could see like you can show up and get absolutely smacked in the first half of a grid match and come back and still win by decent margin, right? There's different. I mean, I think the Wild, when they won it, the last time the Wild won it, if you go back and watch that match against the Sharks looked like they were, were going to win it. And then the Wild literally just stuck it out. They kept fighting. They kept their heads down, raced the race, and they closed it out. I think that's something. The other comment I'll say about the Bandits was you saw rookies become not rookies in that match. There's and like
Well,
that's
and
you know
you
um,
see Josh talking about Mason Belk stealing a ringer. I mean, they stole ringers. That's what allowed them to get in it and stay in
that's
it.
huge momentum, huge
Yeah.
momentum. If you could steal a ringer, which I arguably I think is one of the coolest things about grid, the ringer points. I know there's some hoopla about this fan voted ringer and some people love
So
it, some people
what's
don't.
your thoughts? I know you got thoughts on this.
Um,
I've asked everyone, and it's very mixed reviews on
so
this.
I'm and again, you can crucify me about this later, but I haven't gotten to watch a lot of Grid this season. Besides when I or Grid, Grid and Grind show this season with we're being away. I got to watch the match with or the match. I got to watch the podcast with Matt and Fico, the last like 30 minutes of it. But to answer your question, unfiltered, I genuinely think that the fan voted ringer is a good engagement for the fans. I think it's cool. Um, it provides a little bit longevity, so it actually. This might sound weird. It felt like a complete match having another ringer there. It felt like at the end of sprint
Yeah.
relay on all 4 of those matches, as somebody who was watching it, like the TV was on all day. It actually felt like a complete sporting event. I don't know why. So I think the addition was good. Um, but having the fans vote on it, it's a little wild. It's a crazy concept. I guess if I had to gun to head, I would say I do like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
There's some
I think
strategy behind it though, for sure. Like
I like that. I don't know, I think the big complaint is the level of like it allowing an individual event dictate as much as it does the winner and loser of a team sport. And it played a significant factor in 3 of the 4 matches. So, I think we'll see a lot more of that in 10 days in Lakeland because I think it's going to force teams to do something a little bit different. They're going to have to prep, I think, a lot more for what it is that they want, but also they're going to have to get out there and figure out a way to make whatever they want be the selection. That way they're not coming into a situation where they're having to do the opposing team's ringer that they may really not want to do and may not have the athlete to do. And they might end up being in a situation where they have to have that one to win. And like,
well, I'm going to say a comment about that. If you're not, if I think now veteran teams, right? There are new teams and newer teams and rebuilt teams, but true veteran teams. if you don't have a roster that can do every ringer out there, you're probably, and granted, that's like icing on the cake, man. But if you don't have a roster that can do every ringer, you're running a big risk, a big hole in your game. So
Right.
that's my take on that. I mean, I think the fan ringer is kind of cool. The fan voted ringer is kind of cool.
I enjoy it.
It's a twist. It's a twist. So that's, it's growth.
Well, let's get in. Let's get into your team, the Breakers.
Yep.
All right. So overall performance, what would you grade them? Being an educator,
this is
A, B, C, D, or F?
This is a can of worms I'm getting a lot of trouble for. I was proud of us. I thought we made some mistakes. I think that's obvious. But in the end of the day, right? And I've said this in multiple situations, and not just for grid, but I think it's a good adage in life. You everyone can Monday morning armchair quarterback the previous weekend. After not being there and talking with Matt, I will tell you that I think that match was a really good indicator of what could happen at the end of the year.
Yeah.
After looking at the other teams that were playing, how some other rosters shaped up for that format particularly. I mean, I'm still betting on the Breakers going to the playoffs and going to championships. Like that's 100% in my heart. I know that can happen. I know that we have the horses to do it. And I giving us a grade, man. I mean, sure, like coming together like that, we have some really good news on the team, with people, personal lives, so like can't really sit there and be upset. But obviously we won a W, right? We're here to win. That's what I told you last year. Like we're here to win every match, and that's that. We lose, we lose. That's not our desired result. But we did play the defending champs. They looked damn good. I mean, props to them. They came out looking just like the Sharks have looked the last 3 seasons. But it'll be real fun to see when we have our full lineup what actually transpires. And I know everyone can say that. Every team can say we didn't have our full lineup. I've heard that since the first day I've got to grid ever back in 2021. But the fact of the matter is, it's who you put together on the grid that day, and I think we did a good job, and it'll be fun to see the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than any other sport. How many sports have injury reports where their best players aren't on the court or on the field? I mean, that happens. Obviously, in grid, it's not necessarily maybe an injury thing; it might be a life thing, and so you have to adapt. You have to, build your roster around that and make sure that you have the depth to overcome those sort of things that happen throughout the season. And, obviously you don't want people to get hurt, but you got to account for attrition on that end too. Looking at, talking about injuries, the Wild last year just decimated with injuries the entire season. They retooled themselves. They looked better. I mean,
you put Amanda Fisher back in a Wild uniform, they're going to look much better, especially from the female side. I'll tell you what I was shocked about. Once I saw the signing, old Hibbard or RJ didn't suit up for the match. I
don't want to speak out of turn, but I believe he will be in uniform, if not this weekend, very soon. I want to say he's going to be in uniform. You don't have to worry.
I like him. He's a cool guy. I've gotten to talk to him a little bit off the grid. And Mia and Dan, always been a fan of the Wild. Great organization. I think they're cool people. And yeah, last year was brutal to see that happen.
Yep.
When you get riddled by injuries, it's like, hey, what do we do? And it's like, I think as for attitudes and coming back, like how the organization has, I thought they've done a fantastic job. And they've got some people. I don't want to speak for a lot of these people that'll step away from grid for a year or two to focus on CrossFit, but as people come in and out of grid, you see where there's allegiances and loyalties, and it's really cool that people can come back to grid and hop into a team and make an impact. So it's cool that they were able to do that and rebuild. and it was a great match to watch. To be honest with you, like that's
Yeah.
uh,
You gotta tip your hat to the Venom. I mean, Paul put together a roster to win, and they went out there and they took care of business.
I'll tell you something about Paul. Um, Last year I saw that Venom team. I mean, that was the best assembled Venom team on paper and then performance wise in Dallas that I had seen point blank bar none. I was so stoked that he had that team show up. And I will say it, if that team played the Breakers the first match, I know he would agree with it, but there very well could have been a different outcome last year. 100% different outcome. And then now you have the Breakers fighting, 2-2, and the Venom are trying to go to the playoffs now. If they, if they get there. That last year, that's all water under the bridge. What's really cool is that Paul's dedication and his passion for Grid, and he's got a good group now. And I saw him at Dallas last year, and he looked a little defeated, but he was like, "I'm not going anywhere, man. Like, we're gonna build this. We're gonna do better." So I'm stoked that they got that victory. I'm stoked that they had a really good match, and like it's from a spectator standpoint, you get to a point seeing the underdog win. Like everyone loves the underdog story. And I'm not saying they were an underdog against the Wild by any means. Like I'm not saying that at all. But seeing them year over year, like we understand not everyone can win. It's a sport, but seeing teams progress and have a wave and not just being in the on the bottom, but actually riding a wave going up and down through the year, through the decades, it makes the sport more fun and enjoyable when your team actually gets there.
You could say the same. Like the Breakers are an
Yeah.
example of that. They're riding that wave. I mean, you guys are really really good right now, and it showed this past weekend. Um, Alliance. Let's talk Alliance. Are they
Man, the
are they
Lions. Whew.
are they the best team after week one, or is it? It's
Oh,
I get it. Not everybody did the same match format, and this is why power rankings haven't come out. I just it's impossible to, unless I'm going to do an eye test and go, oh, this is what I saw. But without having race times that are apples to apples, it's really hard to put together, especially when you still have two teams that have yet to even step foot on the grid. So hopefully after Lakeland, I'll have a better idea and I'll be able to put something together. But when you look at the Lions, they went out and they beat what we would consider a very good, consistent brigade team. And they did it pretty handily.
Yeah. So my thoughts on that match. Let's start with the brigade. I know Jess and Tomas will get them in line. They did not look like the brigade last year. I'll say that. And I'll take the heat for anyone that's come at me for saying that. They did not look like the brigade last year. That's it. That's all I'll say. But
you also have to understand, like, we have yet to see race times, and the Lions race times could be the best, and the brigade could be second best in every single race. But because the brigade went against the Lions, who were the fastest in the race, like it matters. It makes a difference. And like to be able to, it's really hard for me to accurately go, well, the brigade aren't as good as they were last year. Well,
you're right. We're
hard
going
to
off
say.
an eye test. We're going off an eye test as it is. But you can see how the Lions handled that match.
Yes.
But what I'll say is like what happens is, and you've seen this throughout the years, okay? And I don't have the stats on it, and I'm sure if Josh is still in the comment, he could pull this up. Yeah, there it is. I knew he was gonna bring it up.
Yep.
Yeah, Josh had a really good commentary. So, okay, for a first time playing, like as he just said, for the Lions format, I would say that's probably their best format that they're going to have in their favor against any team all year. I'd be willing to bet that, right? They probably looked at that and go, this is a good match for us, no matter who they played. Now, as I said, the brigade didn't look like the brigade from years past. What I wanted to go down that is like you have different years where like last year we had a match, 4 weeks later we had a match, we had a match, we had a match, we had a match. This year it's so different now that we've added 2 teams that we can legitimately change up and like you can say, hey, I don't, maybe we don't have our best team this match. But people are looking at a season strategy and not match to match. I'd have to guess that. Like especially now with some of the upsets that you have. Because now you're like, well, okay, I'm not gonna go 4-0, but maybe 2-2 gets me in. Maybe 3-1 gets me in. So if I can't put everybody into this match, I'm sure what I'm saying is there's a strategy for that. I think I have no doubt
if 6 teams are getting in, 3-1's got to get you in. 4-0's getting you in no matter what. 3-1's got to get you in. 2-2, probably say that there's going to be one team, 2-2 that gets in.
The 2-2 teams, like there's going to be some really good 2-2 teams this year. 100%. There's going to be 2-2 teams that are going to be really good. And so, like, with that being said, I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to see a brigade. I don't think they're going to get 0-4 this year. I think they're going to be 2-2. I hope, from the Breaker standpoint, we give them an L. But I mean, they've got all the talent there. They've got the people there. They went up a really good Lions team. And so from the eye test, they didn't look like the brigade for the last, couple years. Now the Lions, they're under new ownership, Melissa and I think Eric and, Eric's
Paula.
Yeah.
And Archie.
Archie too. So they've got a new leadership group. Here's what's cool about that. And like from a longevity of the sports standpoint, they look like the same Lions they did last year as they did 3 years ago. I mean, they're a dangerous team, Would I say they're the best team off the rip? It depends on how deep into strategy you go, right? And deep into knowledge. Again, we've got Josh in the chat. I know he's looking at different times and stuff. That's interesting. I love this comment here.
I can see it, but I still don't think it's very. I think 3-1 gets you in.
I mean, look, we play the Palms, the Brigade, and the Lions left. That's not an easy schedule, man. It's not an easy schedule at all.
No.
Now, I like what the grid's done this year. I think I've heard some from Slack about the scheduling. I'll tell you what. I think it's freaking radical. It's awesome. Going to Dallas, going to New York, we're doing some different things. We're trying to grow, right? And so I'll put my grid supporter hat on. I think that's top tier, and especially getting five teams per conference, and we got 10 teams, and you're structuring that out now, man. I mean, we only dreamed about this 2 years ago, right? We were doing everything at Valor Fitness. Shout out to the OG Valor Fitness in August when it was hot as hell. I love that. It was good times. Everyone had fun. The beers went down faster afterwards. That's all it was. Now we're doing stuff in New York. The Dallas match was cool last year. But we're doing some cool things. And so now you start building out these, we're going to get more exposure, and you're going to have buy-in to some of these teams that like more localized buy-in. Shoot. I mean, I'm excited to see the Flight play. I know Cody. I've had a good relationship with Cody the last 3-4 years. I'm really excited to see them play. The Wolves, I think the Wolves color is one of the greatest things ever. You're about to have an intruder. Come here. Hi, come here. Yep. Hey, we did that dad cast, and here's
look at her.
Hey.
Hi. Hi.
Can you say hi? Oh shoot, I'm on the camera. Oh shoot.
Oh.
But from a gross, this is what I was doing last weekend. And wait, 1 second.
No, you're good. I totally get it.
Oh, sorry, got to trade off kid for old dog. No, I think as we grow and you start doing these things, like I'm excited to see everybody in New York and the other teams in Lakeland. Jen Powers and the Wolves.
Are you coming to Lakeland?
I'll be at Lakeland.
All right, let's go.
Right now, for all my fans out there, I'll be at Lakeland, and I will be at New York. Dallas is long story short, we've got company coming in the next week, a whole family thing, and we don't have a babysitter. So we're only doing one match. I'm going to the double header in New York. I think we're bringing Peanut. I could be wrong. Ooh, yes, everyone out there, I call my daughter Peanut. So, but no, man, I think, like I don't know. The matches this first round of matches was great. I'm excited to see Lakeland. You're going to see a couple teams for their first look.
Well, let's look at it. So for week 2 in Lakeland, we got opening up. You got the Flight and the Bandits. Bandits 1-0, Flight never seen. Obviously, Cody knows the sport, knows it well. He's assembled a really good group of athletes. What they can do, I don't know. I can only go off of social media what I see, and they can do a lot of shit.
Cody has a wealth of knowledge. I love that. Shout out United Grid League. Cody has a wealth of knowledge. All right, and he has a vast network of people that he can reach out to. So I'm gonna be honest. If I'm a betting man and Vegas is putting on some good odds for that match, if the Flight are like plus 300, I might be betting the house on it, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, he's gonna come out with a team. They're gonna come out. I think they're gonna get shell shocked the first couple races, maybe partner forward and mirror, get a little dose of welcome to grid. The Bandits are pretty good at those, and they have the strength to do it. So I think they'll figure out pretty quick, come around Echo and the first ringer point. I think they'll get into gear and get a couple race victories. I mean, who knows, right? We've never seen them. We can speculate. I think what was the last new team we saw? The Venom?
Right? No, the Bandits. The Bandits and
no. So the Bandits last year. Yeah. So you're gonna see, if the Bandits and then the Venom before that, right? So if you go through the history books, they tell you not to bet on the new team for Grid League. There's not a lot of a promise. However, again, you got to look at who put the teams together in the past, and you got to look at what's happening. And there's a welcome to Grid League moment. I think Cody's going to be able to, with his longevity and being a part of the NPGL back in the day, I think he's going to put together a wickedly good team.
I would agree, and I wouldn't be shocked if they beat the Bandits, but I do think the Bandits have a little momentum, and they're feeling good about themselves. So,
and I'm not saying I want the Bandits to lose. I'm just saying I think that Cody's going to bring a team out there to. I think he's coming to the party. Good to go.
Yeah, the Wild and then the Lions are the second match of the day. The Wild obviously need a win, but going up against, we've talked about the Lions, could be, maybe, we don't know, the best team possibly in the league. Had a good showing in week 1, feeling good about themselves. But is there a world where the Wild can beat the Lions?
Yeah. There's no – so this is a very bold statement. There's no team that's unbeatable right now. Like, and I know –
that's why I asked that question, because I felt like you were going to come to that conclusion, was that, this year to me is there's a lot of like very closeness. Like there's not like this gap of separation between the top tier and the lower tier. It's very much much closer than it's been in years past.
I got to talk with the commish briefly, and this was right after or something like that, something funny, just in jest. I thought the matches were some of the closest matches I've seen. Now, we say that every once in a while, but you're not having situations, or you're not having as many situations where like somebody can't do something, right?
Yeah.
Or somebody can't do something at grid speed. You're starting to see teams understand what it is, like individual players coming together as a unit per the race and coming together for the whole match. You're starting to see complete chess pieces and complete chess set going into the game. And instead of having people that like, hey, I think I can do that, I'm gonna try that out, right? That was a couple years ago. But when you talk about like, now you're talking about matches like, hey, like seconds can lose a whole match for you, not just a race, right? I think between the Wild, after watching what they can do, look, I think Dan is one of the most, Dan and Mia are one of the two of the smartest, pair couples of coaches that there are. I think Dan is incredibly smart in the sense of getting very cheeky with what he can do on the grid. And now he has his roster's back. He's got a lot more pieces. And then you throw in RJ on some of this stuff. Now, again, I think he came out and said he was hurt last year. I'm not sure. I think he was taking a year off. Sure. But now you throw him in the mix, dude, and you've got a really wild, pun intended there. You could have a really cool outcome. But what I said last year before both matches against the Lions is, no matter what, the Lions have a solid team. Even before they were merged with the Aces, or however we are saying that out loud, I'll just say that. They were always a quality team, and they were very reliable and dependable for what you thought they were going to do. Like, so from a opposing standpoint, you could scout them, and that you're going to be pretty close to what you think, and they're gonna achieve that. They're not going to have as many hiccups. I think with Jamie retiring, and now you have this new coaching staff and their new leadership, they've done a fantastic job of keeping that momentum and that same on brand, like, expectations from a spectator standpoint, that the Lions go out, they achieve, they work well, and if you beat them, it's going to take your best match. So I think the Lions probably will get the Wild. I'm calling that out. I don't know the match format that they're playing. That's the other thing. It's hard to keep track with who's playing what.
Josh brings up a good point. I alluded to this. I do think you're going to see the Ringers play a big factor in week 2. But yeah, the Wild strength could make it close with the lack of gymnastics in this match format. I also, will say that when you have the Lions, what you're going to get. And I think in order for the Wild to have a chance to win, they have to be cleaner than what they were in week 1. There has to be some of those rookie mistakes that don't happen, and just a very clean race, because that's what's going to give you the ability to be in it and win these races against a team that, traditionally they're just solid. They don't make a whole lot of mistakes. They got a lot of veterans. They got a lot of players that have been in the league and on this team for a while. You got the Palms and the Sharks. The Palms, you could say what you want, gave week 1 match away. You thought they won for a week and a half.
I'm so embarrassed about that. I literally was like, and the worst part is my wife and last year I made her rewatch the matches with me the next day after she worked and I would work and then do breaker stuff. This year we didn't get to do that. But, I'll tease it saying that she let me go on thinking pretty much the whole next day that the Palms won the match.
Whoops.
And then I think I saw something either that next night or that on that like Monday morning that I was like, wait, what?
It was probably what Lauren put out there, because I interviewed her And I won't make this mistake. I didn't say that they were going to lose, but I was alluding to the fact that they were behind. And she basically said, we've got to do better than what we've done historically here in the sprint relay. We can't fuck around and do this and that. And then awesome. It was just like it just showed the timeline of what happened with the rerun and then them stealing it. But yeah, I think the Palms and the Sharks, this is going to be a tricky one because the Sharks, I talked to Chelsea Ranieri, I've talked to Fico, they said that it wasn't that they weren't good that day. It just, there wasn't that fire that they're used to. And it took a minute for them to get going, and they can't afford to have that happen. But the Palms are going to have to go in and have that fire out the gate, because I don't know if they, we've talked about 2-2 teams, but when you go in the whole 0-2, that really makes the digging out of the hole that much tougher.
Who did the Palms play after the Sharks? And we'll go back to that match in a second.
Who do they play after the Sharks?
They play us, the Breakers. And then who else do they play?
They will play, I have to look at the schedule, but I think one of the expansion teams, one of the new teams, I would imagine.
So, I mean, I guess I'll pose a question back to you now, right? Well, let me answer the question of the Palm Sharks. I mean, I think the Sharks they have to come out with the fire, right? They got us by 1 point, I personally, I saw some mistakes on both sides of the grid. You were not playing the coulda, woulda, shoulda, but it was a really good match, Yeah. And so we had some new players. I think they had 1 or 2 new players as well. So, it's looking at that and after seeing what I saw there, I would have to tell you that the Palms are going to have to play almost a damn near perfect match to win. Now, I'm not saying that they are that far behind the Sharks or even that they're behind them at all. Because I think, what you just said that Chelsea said is I don't think the Sharks are as, ground and pound and beat your ass on every single thing like they were last year. I don't think they have that same swagger that they had last year. They looked good, but they weren't like, I'm not going, that's the best grid team I've seen in 3 years. Like that.
So I will agree to disagree with that, because I think the Sharks are as good as they were last year. I just think everybody else has closed the gap and they're that much better.
It's a fair statement. I mean, the Sharks didn't have Kidder, which that's a big help there. So if they're playing in a more strength-based, I will tell you, gymnastics team, a more gymnastic-focused team with a gymnastics-based format can get them. I'm pretty confident of that. A strength-based team is going to be more difficult. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know the matchup directly. I don't know what format they're playing. The Palms. I should, but I'm sorry, I don't. The Palms are good. She added a lot of new people. She's changed people in and out. I've worked with Briley from on the SAF side a little bit when she's helped out, and I've gotten to know her. Obviously, I love their colors. I think finally they got the pink uniforms look sick. They did that last year, but I think primary is sick. I want them to do well. I hate to say that. I sound like a goofball. Like, hey, participation trophies. No, screw that shit. I want every team to do well, right? I want every team to get better. But when it comes to you just don't know. And I agree with you. If you go 0-2, you're
it's a tough hole.
Yeah,
it's a tough hole,
especially with 4 matches.
All right. Well, we got to wrap this thing up. I gotta.
Right, that's fine.
I gotta be on dad duty. So last match, Wolves and Brigade. You're getting another team that it almost feels like they've been in the league because we've known about them for a while, but they're going to step foot on the grid for the first time, going against a very consistent team. I don't know what to expect here. I mean, I'm assuming the Brigade are going to go out and give us what we think they're going to give us. They're going to be better than they were in week 1. I think it's going to be tough for the Wolves, but Oh,
Yeah. So, okay. I looked at the Wolves roster before I left in December, and it looked pretty complete. So, if they've added more people, I don't know. I thought they were they looked very CrossFit heavy from the Instagram profiles you could see. They looked very fit. But the good news is I know that, Jen Powers she's a business person, and in turn, she's also very efficient with how she does things. So I think
yep.
with her and Sam Krivitz behind her, and forgive me, I just literally forgot the female's coach's name, but
Lexi.
I almost said Lori, but Lexi. She has experience in the league, so it's kind of the same thing with Cody coming in, and Jen's she's efficiently built people around her that know the sport or know how to handle with athletes. So I would have to expect you're going to see a good team. And I don't want to put any extra sauce on it, but they've been around grid, longer now. So they know the race times that they have to beat. They know what they need out of an athlete. They've had another 6 months or so to test it after they, put the team together. I genuinely hope they come out and get some victories against the Brigade race-wise. I think that's a really tough match, especially a really tough program for a new team to go in and beat the Brigade. Yep. But if they do pull off a W, that's very telling on what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, then our question about the Brigade becomes pretty clear. Well, either way, Matt, I appreciate the time. Josh is throwing this out there. Must win for the Brigade. I think anybody that's 0-1 right now, it may not be a must win, but I feel like they should treat it as a must win. But Matt, appreciate the time. I'll see you in Lakeland, my brother, and we'll get to chat it up and do what we do, man. Appreciate you. That is Matt Evans, everybody. If you like hearing Matt's story or you just like hearing Average Joe's talk X's and O's, please share the podcast on Facebook. Head over to YouTube, subscribe, notifications. That way you're first to know when new content is dropped. United Grid League, next weekend, we'll be there. Lakeland, Florida, the RP Funding Center. You don't want to miss it. 4 matchups. You got Flight, brand new expansion team taking on the Bandits, a 1-0 team who had their first ever win in the United Grid League last week. The Wild are taking on the Lions. You got the Palms taking on the Sharks, and you got the Wolves and the Brigade closing it out. So hope to see y'all there. If not, catch us on YouTube. And as always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grid and grind all the time. We're out.